punishment. He ordered the operatives to escort the aide to a secret isolation area within the palace, confiscating all communication devices to ensure he could absolutely not tip off Camilla. The night hunt had ended in a resounding victory. The righteous side held the winning hand of the Prince of Wales's authority and a stern warning of a severe prison sentence for espionage, trespassing, and extortion. The Queen's close aide completely collapsed mentally. Weeping, he fell to his knees at William's feet and confessed to Camilla's entire filthy plot. He admitted that the Queen herself had planned the trap, and tomorrow's dawn at Clarence House would witness the Queen's theatrical web of lies torn to shreds in the light. Silence enveloped Clarence House ahead of the major gathering. Lunch at Windsor personally wore the wiretapping brooch and ordered him to use her private funds to bribe staff to spread the psychological poison and isolate the Princess of Wales. This entire confession was recorded word for word by the security team. Holding the Pearl Brooch, the bribery ledger, and the recorded confession of the aide, William knew he possessed all the weapons needed to execute the most devastating all public appearance rights, her name erased from all major events and family duties. That very night, under the escort of a security team, appointed by William Camilla, was quietly expelled from London and exiled to a remote, perennially cold estate in Scotland. She had to live out her remaining security solitary confinement unit for extortion, internal espionage, and illegal intrusion into the security system, receiving his rightful punishment under the law without any assistance from his fallen former master. All palace staff across the departments who had accepted Camilla's bribe money to spread the days in absolute isolation, cut off from all contact with the outside world, without a single family member visiting, becoming a shameful phantom scorned by the public. Camilla's close aide was thrown into a maximum distorted audio file to defame Kate, were fired immediately that day. They were stripped of all perks, their names placed on an internal aristocratic blacklist, permanently losing any chance of finding employment with any other prestigious family. A few days after the upheaval, Kate, William, and their children appeared on the balcony and praised Kate's action to defend her dignity and self-esteem as a symbol of courage, refusing to blindly submit to fake protocols. Queen Camilla faced the most devastating mental punishment. She was completely stripped of make the excuse that the recording had been fraudulently edited and that she did all of it solely for the stability of the monarchy to secure the family's future. Kate turned off her phone, her gaze toward Camilla filled with utter contempt. She exposed the brazen excuse with steely words. "Do you invoke the monarchy to satisfy your own?" Camilla was stunned, her face shifting from flushed red with rage to stark white with horror. She could not comprehend how her darkest secret had ended up entirely in her opponent's hands. Camilla stammered, attempting to, "My boundaries are inviolable. You will pay for every malicious word you have spread throughout this palace." Camilla was struck completely mute. Jealousy and selfish greed. The stability of a dynasty is never built on filthy betrayal and forced smiles. I have submitted in the past for the sake of protocol, but from this moment on, low, malicious voice from the Pearl Brooch at Windsor echoed clearly, bouncing off the stone walls of the Clarence House corridor. They were cruel mocks about Kate's health assertions that the young princess lacked the capacity to be a future queen, and the plot to distribute bribe money to isolate her. It was inspected on the spot. The bribe ledger, along with a series of cash envelopes that hadn't yet been distributed, were exposed starkly under the lights. The aide trembled violently, his knees buckling to the cold floor, his mouth stammering as he tried to find a hopeless explanation. Williams, the operative, quickly pressed the activation button on a specialized extraction device. The original audio file echoed through the empty room. It was Camilla's malicious, defiant operatives blocking the exit. There was no loud noise, no chaos or struggle. An operative stepped forward, with lightning speed decisively snatching the leather briefcase and the pearl brooch from the aide's hands, before he could make any attempt to destroy them. When the briefcase stepped closer, his gaze cold and sharp as a dagger, he did not waste a single redundant word on the traitor merely reaching out to take the pearl brooch from the operative. Voice plotting to demean Kate at Windsor, complete and crystal clear, without a single edit. The ironclad evidence was securely in the hands of the righteous. Under the crushing pressure, was securely hers in sidelining Kate from the future monarchy. But she had underestimated one thing: the fury of a mother and the authority of the Prince of Wales when his wife is insulted. It did not take long for Prince William to notice the toxic atmosphere surrounding his wife. The shift in the palace staff within his own home. William secretly summoned a former senior security operative who had served his family for years and now ran an independent security team completely loyal to the Prince of Wales. No administrative paperwork or official orders were signed to avoid alerting Camilla's network of spies. The investigation, the two most powerful women in the royal family, to its absolute peak, a wound cutting deep into the clan's trust that no diplomatic ritual could ever cover up again. Camilla was utterly convinced that with that distorted audio file and the blind obedience of the bribed staff, William knew well that if he chose to approach his father, King Charles III, or confront Camilla directly, it would only end in meaningless placations, and the hostile forces would instantly destroy the evidence. He needed a fatal blow, and to achieve that, he had to operate like a true secret agent. His attitude, the ambiguous internal memos, and especially Kate's choked-up tears every night made him realize that a filthy crime was unfolding right under his nose. Outside, the stateroom doors swung wide open. Camilla stepped out, her face flushed with anger at having her authority publicly challenged. She stood opposite Kate in the middle of the dimly lit corridor, trying to use the gaze of a queen to suppress her daughter-in-law's spirit. I used to sit at the same table with someone who used filthy words to demean my honor while I lay on a sickbed. An underlying chaos instantly erupted among the staff. Camilla's aide turned pale, flustered, and unsure how to handle this direct rejection. Receiving word from still as a statue, she stared at the closed door, then at the aide. Her voice rang out quiet, yet steely loud enough for everyone in the corridor to hear. I will not step into that room. I refuse. Directly toward Camilla, the distance between the two most powerful women in the palace, now less than a meter. Before dozens of breathless aides and staff watching, Kate pulled out her phone. She did not argue with words. She let the evidence speak for itself. Her finger pressed the play button on an audio file. Instantly, Camilla spoke up, reminding Kate of her duty, of the guests' presence, and of the family's honor that she was tarnishing. Kate did not back down an inch. She stepped direct, her humiliating disgrace etched into every wrinkle as her true face was laid bare, nakedly, before all her subordinates. That file contained fabricated diagnoses of a severe psychiatric disorder afflicting the princess, and Camilla threatened to leak it to prove Kate was unfit to raise the heirs to the throne if she dared to make a scene. Camilla's wicked smile had barely formed before it froze solid. Princing her voice to a bare whisper, her eyes flashing a wicked, threatening look. Camilla whispered that she still possessed a special medical file compiled by her own trusted doctors during Kate's hospitalization. Camilla took a deep breath, trying to stop her body from trembling with rage and humiliation. The instincts of a cunning old fox quickly prompted her to find a way to counterattack. She stepped closer to Kate. William stepped forward, using his tall stature to completely shield Kate, forcing Camilla back a step. Simultaneously from the far end of the corridor, two trusted royal guards of King Charles III emerged from the shadows. They were escorting Camilla's close aide, who was now tightly handcuffed, his face completely on the table, and pulled out the pearl brooch to throw it into the fireplace. The ceiling lights suddenly flashed on, blindingly bright. The aide jumped in shock, spinning around his face, instantly draining of all color, as he saw Prince William alongside two trusted security, only the faint glow of his phone screen to navigate. He advanced toward the corner of the room, where a heavy-duty paper shredder and a glowing small fireplace sat. Right at the moment, he placed the leather briefcase in the archives room. He tightly clutched a small leather briefcase against his chest, which contained the Pearl Brooch, the concrete evidence carrying the original audio file from Windsor, alongside a notebook detailing the cash bribes Camilla had distributed across palace departments. Camilla had ordered him. Vile crime had fallen squarely into the Prince of Wales's takedown plan. Late one weekend night, as all of Clarence House plunged into darkness and artificial silence, William's trap officially snapped shut. Camilla's close aide walked hurriedly down the dimly lit stone corridor leading to the internal to destroy this brooch that very night, to wipe away all physical traces now that the distorted audio file had been safely transferred to a private storage system. The aide used a master key to unlock the archive room, slipping inside surreptitiously without turning on the lights, using meetings with financial management staff and tabloid editors in secluded pubs behind the palace after hours. William received detailed reports daily. He quietly accumulated evidence, logging every timestamp and the individuals involved. The was conducted entirely in the shadows of late nights in London. The operative began by sweeping all communication devices in Kate's office while silently tracking the movements and associations of Camilla's closest aide. Through strict professional surveillance, William's security team quickly discovered an abnormal flow of leaked information. Every threat of defamation and every rumor regarding Kate's mental state originated from the personal encrypted phone of the Queen's close aide. This individual regularly held clandestine to trigger an international media explosion, forcing Kate to withdraw entirely from public life. Time was measured in days. William did not flinch. He ordered the security team to keep. The hunt grew breathtakingly tense when the operative reported that Camilla was preparing to execute her final move, leaking the distorted recording to a major media outlet in the United States. Brooch lay a high-tech micro-recording device activated the moment Kate stepped through the door. Camilla had not invited her daughter-in-law to check on her. She had invited her to hunt for moments of vulnerability. The lunch began with a barrage of questions from Camilla, disguised under the veneer of cutting words publicly, questioning Kate's capacity to shoulder future responsibilities alongside Prince William. Camilla argued that the future of the monarchy could not be placed in the hands of a woman with such vulnerable mental and physical concern for the young princess's health. Camilla's voice was low, slow, and calculated, continuously probing into Kate's grueling treatment. She repeatedly brought up how skeptical the public was and how worried the palace departments were due to the Princess of Wales's prolonged absence. Camilla deliberately created a suffocating atmosphere, forcing Kate into a state of mental insecurity and compelling her to face her greatest fear at the time: physical exhaustion. The peak of the malice occurred when Camilla bluntly made a sweeping, provocative remark. Looking straight into Kate's eyes, she took a sip of tea and delivered her cold stamina. She wanted to provoke Kate to make the young princess lose her composure, to hear trembling, desperate words or unconstrained outbursts. Every single one of Kate's moments of intense vulnerability was captured without missing a beat by the Pearl Brooch. Kate pressed her lips tightly together, her thin hands clasping under the table, to stop. The power of the family has completely shifted to the hands of the younger generation. Share your thoughts with us in the comments section. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also click the next video showing on your screen. You will enjoy it spectacularly through her own wits and self-esteem. A new royal standard had officially been established. From this day forward, no duty would be permitted to trample upon human dignity, and the future of the monarchy would be built on truth and honor, never again accepting forced smiles. Evil had lost everything, and justice had been restored in a devastating but well-deserved manner. How will King Charles III face his remaining days of reigning, having just lost the wife at his side while having to accept the bitter truth that the ultimate balcony of Buckingham Palace to the cheers and applause of millions of citizens gathered below. Kate stood there, her face radiant, bearing the majestic aura of a true future queen who had triumphed, captured aid to King Charles III late the previous night. Upon hearing his wife's malicious words targeted at his daughter-in-law, who was exhausted from illness, the king was utterly disgusted. He realized that Camilla's greed and schemes directly threatened the very survival of the family. The massive sum she had secretly withdrawn to bribe palace staff into defaming Kate. Camilla looked at the document trembling, but the biggest shock for her lay in William's cold declaration. The Prince of Wales revealed that he had brought all of this evidence along with the original audio file and the confession of the King Charles III made a devastating decision. He officially turned his back, abandoning Camilla's defense to stand with his children, protecting the direct line of succession to the throne. The appearance of the king's trusted guards was defeated. William didn't even look at his stepmother. He decisively pulled a thick dossier from his coat pocket and slammed it hard onto the corridor's wooden table right in front of Camilla. That dossier was a detailed statement of all of Camilla's personal bank transactions, clearly logging each was proof that Camilla had been stripped of all supporting power. William stared straight at the woman who had once destroyed his mother's happiness years ago, his voice ringing out as cold as ice. Now that Kate's iron boundaries have been established, how will the British monarchy face a new era, one with no room for forced smiles? Every ounce of endurance has its limit, and for Kate Middleton, that boundary was mercilessly trampled upon at Windsor Castle. Illness. Yet she still managed to maintain her inherent elegance. Sitting across from her was Camilla, a woman sitting upright, radiating the cold authority of someone who had just seized the highest position. The core of the trap lay not in the luxurious dishes on the table, but right on the Queen's chest. Camilla wore a dossier. 3 weeks before the scandal at Clarence House erupted, a private lunch invitation was sent to the Princess of Wales from the office of Queen Camilla. The lunch was arranged in an isolated room where the thick ancient walls seemed capable of swallowing any sound. Kate arrived with traces of paleness still on her face, her body frail after a long battle with a serious dark velvet gown highlighted by an exquisite antique pearl brooch. On the surface, it appeared to be just a precious piece of jewelry pulled from the royal archives to show formality. But the truth was far more ruthless. Deep within the intricate solid gold carvings of the audio file to be extracted from the eavesdropping device, then personally directed her aide to chop and edit the conversation. Kate's resilient explanations were removed, leaving only the hesitation's weary sighs, and words stripped of context to transform the Princess of Wales into a panicked, paranoid woman completely broken down mentally. Camilla's plot was so low that no one would have expected it from someone bearing the title of Queen. She did not use physical force, but used orchestrated rumors as a poison to assassinate Kate's reputation. Journalists close to Camilla. People began to gossip intensely that Kate Middleton was no longer lucid after her surgery, that she was undergoing psychiatric treatment, and that Prince William was burdened with a completely incapacitated wife. Kate's honor was brutally trampled, and malicious rumors spread to every corner of the royal apparatus. Vicious whispers echoed in dark corridors. Servants cast pitying glances as Kate walked by, and deliberate leaks were fed to tabloid journals. To ensure this poison spread effectively, Camilla withdrew a massive sum of cash from her private funds and handed it to her aide. His mission was to use this money to bribe and pay off staff across various palace departments, from close ladies-in-waiting to those managing schedules. Within just 2 short weeks, Camilla's distorted recording. You have exactly 5 minutes to pack your personal belongings and get out of Clarence House. If you ever dare use those forged files to blackmail my wife or touch my children, A ruthless isolation enveloped the Queen right inside her own stronghold. The major secret meeting about to take place was cancelled immediately, and the invited guests were ordered to leave in astonishment. Camilla, this original recording, along with the bribery statements, will be broadcast live on all the largest media channels in the world. Do not test the limits of a husband and a father. Camilla looked around, trying to find assistance from the aides who had long bowed to her commands. But all of them simultaneously stared at the floor or actively backed away from her, as if avoiding a source of contagion. Camilla understood she had lost every single weapon. Her cowardly wiretapping trap had turned around to finish off its own master, leaving her standing isolated in the middle of the corridor in ultimate disgrace before the entire palace. He was gravely ill. Queen Camilla used her own private funds to bribe aides to spread this psychological poison throughout the palace, hoping to drive Kate into a corner. But Prince William launched a spectacular counterattack, trapping the traitor red-handed and forcing Camilla when the Princess of Wales unmasked a plot to destroy her honor, orchestrated by none other than her husband's stepmother. This devastating conflict stemmed from a pearl brooch at Windsor Castle, concrete evidence containing a distorted audio recording aimed at breaking Kate's mental well-being while she...
Family.
Princess Kate Middleton has officially exposed the reason behind her resolute refusal to step into the meeting room at Clarence House last month, laying bare a rift that can no longer be hidden. No longer just a rumor, a fiery confrontation erupted right in the corridor.
This, of course, came as a huge shock, and William and I have been doing everything we can to process and manage this privately for the sake of our young...
To endure public humiliation in front of King Charles III. Will Camilla lose everything and face the harsh punishment of lonely exile after this devastating blow? What dark secret does William's ruthless note to the king contain? And now she had built over more than a decade. Every night at Adelaide Cottage, looking at her soundly sleeping children. The resentment inside Kate burned fiercely. She refused to let Camilla use these lies to dictate her family's fate. This covert attack pushed the rift between all internal events. She had to face scrutinizing gazes and whispers that abruptly fell silent as she approached. Her name began to be crossed off guest reception lists, and her activities were unofficially suspended under the pretext of protecting the princess's health. Standing from afar, Camilla watched this silent isolation choke Kate day by day with immense gratification. Faced with the relentless wave of defamation, Kate chose a long-suffering silence. But it was not submission. It was the accumulation of a terrifying rage. She saw clearly the true face of the network of aides manipulated by Camilla's money. They were turning her into a mad woman in the eyes of all palace staff, destroying bit by bit the self-esteem